Alright, we've got one package here. Lots of noise opening this. There we go. Alright. The top we have By the Grace of the Gods. I was wondering if this was... Jeez, I thought I was reading Code Geass there. I'm like, wait, what in the world? But no. Grace of the Gods. So this looks medieval fantasy-ish, so obviously since I've been on a huge medieval fantasy binge, this is looking pretty choice. Oh, look, you even have Demi Humans. Okay, I was just noticing that there's a kind of a feel to it, and you might be able to see there's a little thing there to kind of give it a feel like a book. Oh, but here you can see the bubble there has a different thing, and so do those. Very interesting. To be honest, that's some pretty happy looking smiles. Definitely piquing the curiosity. Currently don't really know what these are. Hold on. This is disc 1 AB, so this is Blu-ray, and this is disc 2 Blu-ray. Disc 1 DVD. Yeah, there we go. DVD. Disc 2 DVD. So they've got a little pattern going on here where the guys on the disc 1s and the girls on the disc 2s. Interesting. And I did notice that the Blu-ray said regions A and B, but... well, continue on. Season 1 art book. You know, just to kind of get a general impression for what's in there, we have this. This is... here comes a super cute isekai based on the light. So it's an isekai. Regions A and B. English dub. Looks pretty, you know, on the money. So, cleaning cloth, puffy sticker sheet. There we go. And since this wasn't in the box, we can just, you know, take a little peek on the inside. I guess I can toss that. It looks like these postcards are mostly composed of some of the artwork we've seen on the thing already. I feel like we skipped one. No proof. Okay. Ooh, we got some gods up there saying, hey. There they go. So these are the puffy stickers, and I know just looking at it might be hard to tell, but they do have a little volume to them. You know, the styrofoam stickers. Lots of slimes. And here we got the little cleaning cloth. Alright. Next up we have King's Raid, Part 1. Some text there I can't read. Now, my familiarity with King's Raid is mostly from a VR chat perspective. That's a region A and B, English dub, 12 episodes on 2 Blu-ray discs. Basically, a handful of people that I knew who had King's Raid avatars. I don't know how many of them I can specifically remember, though. I do remember some of the male characters being shirtless and having 12 packs. Which is kind of grotesque, and it really wasn't as bad as 12 packs, but it is one of the things that's just like a little crazy with the 6 packs. You can, I think, go up to 8 packs without being too crazy, maybe. So we've got part 1, part 2. You know, they both say part 1. This says disc 1, this says disc 2, but it also says special features. That said, this doesn't give me a very good impression of what King's Raid actually is. Mostly just black and reds. And last but not least, we have YashaHime. Not to be confused with Inuyasha. Although that said, part of the reason I haven't felt super motivated to watch this is just because I got all Inuyasha'd out. And this strikes me as if it's not part of the Inuyasha universe, then it's definitely inspired by a whole lot of the same stuff, and I just don't have the energy to think about that too much right now. Even though this is, you know, Japan feudal time sort of stuff. But, Princess, half-demon, yeah, So Inuyasha would make me think that's a combination of the words Inu, dog, and Yasha may be some sort of demon. So this could be YashaHime, which would be like demon princess or something like that. It's also possible that Yasha means half-demon. Okay, well, there's our thinking a little bit hard, if you could call that hard thinking. Here we've got our Blu-ray discs. Oh, jeez. That said, you know, it is a very nostalgic character design. Oh, this is a completely different... Okay, definitely Inuyasha. I mean, is that Sesshomaru was his name, or was that him? Jesus. Why can I not remember the name of Inuyasha's brother? Actually, now I think about it, there's the back of Inuyasha right there. So, that said, it not being focused on Inuyasha himself, and maybe not focused on him, I don't know. I think there's good potential in there for exploration of fun things in the world. But yeah. In my just general feelings of, oh, nice, this is one of those cardboard things. I'll put this aside and put it with the other ones, and then this will go in here, although I'm going to turn it right side up. Look like, oh look, there's Inuyasha and Kagome. Well, at least this is better than trying to continue Inuyasha. Although, I'd have to watch it to see how much better, and again, my energy levels have been low the past couple of days, and so it's even more exhausting thinking about trying this. And these are just the DVD versions. A lot of the same stuff, but oh my gosh, lots of plastic to take off first. Sorry, there's still some plastic sticking there. But I think I can let it go for now, and we just take a look in the inside. DVD version is a lot simpler, so if you have a chance, or if you had to make a choice, that Blu-ray one looks a lot better. Alright, here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Okay, start with Friday Friend. We watched some Demon Slayer. You know, this time, disc 2. I'm not sure if there's a lot more I can add to it. You know, not only is this not my first time watching it, but, you know, like I said, it's, for whatever weaknesses you can throw at the series, I feel like it's still strong in the beginning, and this is still some of that strong beginning stuff. Obviously, it has some kind of shonen sort of leanings to it, and my big complaint is that as the series progresses, it wants to spend time to develop our main character using shonen sort of stuff, but the most interesting aspect of this show is really his sister. Not necessarily his sister alone. His sister actually interacting with him and with other people is some of the best stuff in there, just because she's kind of your mind blow for people in the show, and it feels like she gets underutilized a lot. But maybe that's just my feeling, and it's definitely not that at the beginning of the show. You can start this show, good stuff, good stuff. Let's see. Last time I was watching To Your Eternity, and I'm still not quite sure what I thought about the ending. It definitely doesn't help that it's not the ending of the series, but it is the ending of the season, and I do believe Season 2 is kind of a little on the horizon. It did some neat stuff at the very end. Some of the stuff it started doing it just felt a little, I don't know. I don't like watching anime which give me this kind of trapped feeling. And some of them play it off better than others, and this one played it off okay, but it still did interesting things, and interesting things happened, and, you know, overall, it was definitely a good first season. Let's see, I followed that up with The Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter, and that one was a bit of a mix. I didn't like it as much, but to give it some credit, it at least was trying to do something really fun. Some of the problems with it are, the basic idea is, so the name of the title makes you think, okay, there's a hidden dungeon only the main character can enter, so there's something to do with that, but how much it actually plays off of that mechanic is pretty weak. It also gives him an ability called Great Sage, which probably makes all of you think of Reincarnated as a Slime, and the Great Sage from Reincarnated as a Slime is pretty fucking spectacular, whereas this one is a little goofy, silly, whimsical. It doesn't feel like it's fully invested, I guess, and it's not really used too heavily so much as skills the main character gets while there, and how much he advances based on that stuff is kind of weird, but it does give him kind of a skill editing ability, for lack of better terms, and they make it where it costs LP, which is very different, but instead of thinking that as like life points, it's probably better to think of it as lust points, because usually it's done when more hedonistic activities occur. And hedonism was kind of the choice of words in the English dub, so I'm going with that. But it basically means, you know, while you do have your things that obviously the show didn't use, such as, you know, eating fancy foods and swimming in coins or something, interactions with the opposite sex were a very common thing. And, you know, to be fair, you know, that sounds like a fun thing. Okay, if he gets to interact with them, he gets more LP. If he gets more LP, he gets to modify skills. Okay, cool. Sounds like a fun premise. But I kind of felt it was a little weak. I think mainly for two reasons. I'm trying to remember all those reasons. One of those is how much LP it cost for him to do activities. Felt very unestablished. Like, it gave hard numbers, but it didn't really give us a feel for why certain numbers would be hard and others weren't, especially when, like, in some very rare circumstances where it's like, oh, this looks hard, well, what if I did it this way? Oh, that's just as hard. It's like, well, why isn't all these just as hards the same level of difficulty? There's a feeling why they maybe would be able to get away with doing that, but it just didn't feel like there was good established lore. It was just kind of for the story's convenience. Oh, this one happens to be cheap and this one happens to be expensive. This one happens to leave them with just enough LP left. So, you know, you've got that, and then, you know, it's kind of a show with the excuse of our main character getting into situations, and it had its amusing moments, but overall it kind of meant that the series felt a little weaker to me. Not necessarily bad, but definitely I felt like I had to push myself to finish it, and maybe that's a sign that I'm about to run out of steam watching all this stuff on Crunchyroll, because I'm still watching like crazy. We'll have to see. The next main series that I booted up was a ReZero Season 2, because not only did I see it was on there, but I see that it's English dubbed, and since I watched Season 1 English dubbed, I can continue watching with the voices as I'm used to them. And Season 2 is pretty crazy. In a great way, I think. In a great way that the second season would need to be. Like, it feels like it's continued, but it also doesn't feel like it's retreading the same grounds as certain stuff. It does feel like it gets caught into this sort of loop with some of the general ideas of some of the things it covers, but without going into specifics. It's not too bad. Although that said, because this is Season 2 and and because it's establishing, I think it's doing something that I would call a much more major story building arc. Like the other stuff had a lot of huge story building, world building sort of stuff, but this one's definitely been a lot more focused on the more important details, and it doesn't feel like it's doing that in a way that's very different in tone from the first season. It feels like this is actually a very natural continuation, give or take the fact that where the first season ended, you could probably just pause there and say, I'm kind of happy with what it did. But so far, I'd have to say, I'm definitely a lot more curious to see where Season 2 goes and ends. Probably will have to double check to make sure everything's actually dubbed. Yeah, that's telling me when I've watched stuff. Alright. Then there's the stuff I've been watching more one-off of. So there's Life with an Ordinary Guy Who Reincarnated as a Fantasy Knockout. In my opinion, that's still being funny, entertaining. Land of Leedale is actually leaning more towards some of the stuff I was saying that it kind of seemed to be overlooking, but I guess it's because it doesn't tend to. And it's kind of interesting because I really like where Leedale's going, and there's a part of me that wonders if maybe I wouldn't be thinking the same if I was trying to marathon it. And I do wonder if watching that one as the episodes come out just kind of allows you to digest things a little bit different. It's more fun. I'm not sure. And then My Dress Up Darling, the next episode of that one was pretty good, continuing going down the good route that I said that the previous episode was, which is, they've introduced more character dynamics, interactions, stuff that's actually fun interactions going in more directions. So for a romantic show, it's going pretty good. I definitely want to see more of that. That's one where I feel like I could probably be marathoning it if it was running. I mean, maybe Leedale and Fantasy Knockout, yeah? Don't know. Princess Connect is one that I suspect that I mentioned before. I thought I would better be able to maybe watch if it was episodic, and so far it's been pretty correct. It's been entertaining episode by episode. I'm finally about halfway through the first season and getting something that's beginning to resemble an actual reason for things other than an excuse to have an episode after episode. So interesting. And then I did watch the first episode of The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated. I definitely had some curiosity about it, especially since the way it was described sounds very reminiscent of I forgot the name. It's the one where the Demon Lord is working at a fast food restaurant. That one though is definitely dedicated to whatever type of humor it's definitely doing, whereas so far Jahi episode 1 seems to be more about setting up its quirky characters. Now, I say it as if all it did was just throw characters in. It also kind of built up and explained the scenario and, had some reveals to it. But I'm kind of curious where it goes with this, because it also, one of the risks with it is there's a feeling like it gets close to fetishy of little kids running around in oversized shirts. I mean, there's only one character in that, as far as I know, that looks like that, and she's featured prominently on the front of it. And I still don't entirely know what to think about in terms of her as a character. This is definitely a series that's going to require more than one episode to fully judge, because the first episode wasn't has you hooked from the get-go like something like Code Geass or something like that. So if it's going to do something that I would definitely call standout, I'm still waiting for it, but I've reviewed other stuff today that, like Hidden Dungeon, I wouldn't say that anything about the way that began I would call standout, just because I think it kind of established just kind of its whimsical nature or whatnot. But I still watched all of it. I was kind of curious, and I still haven't gotten back to the strongest sage with the weakest crest. I vaguely recall some of the reasons for that, but yeah. So outside of that, I think I've just mostly been exhausted. I haven't even been playing a super huge amount of Dead by Daylight. You know, I've been playing it in there, but I definitely spent a lot more of this weekend kind of zoning out and maybe trying to sleep. I guess it also doesn't help that I took my car in to get maintenance done on it. You know, normally I only take it in for inspections, but in this case I had a headlight out, and while that was going on, since I do have a trip I'll be going on later this year, I wanted to make sure certain other things were taken care of. So yeah, good amount of money down the drain, but good for it. Alright, that's all stuff. So the only other thing to say is, you know, even though I'm recording this Monday night, you know, I'm posting this on Tuesday. That's 2/22/2022 on a Tuesday. So have a happy Tuesday.